بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم افتح علينا حكمتك وانشر علينا رحمتك وعلمنا من لدنك علما ينفعنا في الدين والدنيا يا كريم. أما بعد, سيدنا الإمام البنا رحمه الله تعالى رضي عنه says, we stopped at the 76th line. ثم أمام العالم المعقول معارف تلغز أو تلغر في المنقول. Beyond the rational world that we see, beyond everything that we notice and understand, and that Allah Ta'ala has made easy for us to absorb, which includes what? Everything that we know. Everything that we know is part of this al-alam al-ma'qul. Yes, the reality that is able to be absorbed. Okay. Beyond that, there are things that are not possible to be absorbed, not possible to be understood through the normal means that we use. And he says, معارف تلغز في المنقول. There are levels beyond what's recorded, but whatever is recorded, the proofs from the Quran and the Sunnah, the clear-cut evidence, what is clear in Sharia, inside that you will find elements, or you'll find things indicating, for those who pay attention, indications that teach you about this unseen. So we don't know everything, and not knowing everything is something that's a reality, and to be able to reach that reality and understand that reality is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-ajz an dark al-idraki idraku. Yes, to understand that it's impossible to know the reality is a reality in itself. Yeah, once you understand that, you've reached a very high level of understanding. Because most people are stuck in their own little world. They don't see beyond that, they don't understand beyond that, and they can't imagine any reality other than what they've been taught since they're young. In our life, personal life, we go through stages. When you're a little kid, your reality is built on your parents and a few things around you, and that makes sense to you, and you build the reality of the world based on your parents. Yes or no? SubhanAllah. It takes a lot of different shocks in life to understand that your parents might make mistakes. Once you start to challenge your parents' existence, and you go through ups and downs in your teenage, in your late child, stage. Why? Because you're learning and you're understanding a new reality that didn't exist before that. So you're starting to fight with yourself and with everyone around you in order to discover what's out there. You knew something else is out there. You want to discover it yourself now. Means leave me alone. Don't interfere with my life. Let me do what I want, because I need to seek what's out there. You understood that it's there, and it's possible to seek. As other people have understood it before. That is an example of a little kid, subhanAllah, yes, in this world, who used to be in a household and used to see the world but not understand what's behind it, because their reality was so small, subhanAllah, even though they lived in that world. Yes? We also live in this universe, and other things happening around us that we don't know. We see things and we see signs, but we don't notice them. Yes? They say the tariq is tariq of ishara. There's signs in everything around you that would actually guide you to the realities if you pay attention to them. Most people don't pay attention to the signs. Paying attention to the signs is the first level of uncovering what's hidden from us. The first level. So, subhanAllah, in your life, you'll go through stages like this. The first stage would be when you're a little kid and you break out of that reality. Then when you go to school and you start to mix with people, you discover a whole new reality and a whole new level of things that never used to exist. And as you grow, subhanAllah, things change. Your opinions change. Your theology might change. Your political stance and things might change. You start to discover things, and you know what? SubhanAllah, every time you discover a new reality, you look at your past life and you're like, oh my God, I was living in a wahm, in a dream. I wasn't actually living reality. Now, everyone who understands this is one step more knowledgeable and understanding than the person who hasn't understood this. And there's so many levels that we don't know. We've only reached a certain level. Every one of us has only reached a certain level. And it's a spectrum, but generally we're close in the Bashariyah, so we can kind of we can relate to each other in this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has hidden most of the creation from us and most of the secrets of existence from us, and there are things that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. The prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have reached a level of understanding that no other creation would ever see. Yes? The prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have been shown a lot of the unseen, levels of the unseen that mankind has never reached. And that's why their belief is a belief that is impossible to be shaken. They know it out of seeing it. The awliya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are many levels, but all of the levels of the awliya are under the levels or less than the levels of the Prophets alayhi salam. So the Prophet, when they tell you something of the unseen, it's truth. It's clear truth. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us that the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists, for example. It's khalas. He saw it, he knew it. He tells us that he reached a certain level in the seventh heaven where he could hear the pens writing. Khalas. That's a reality. There's actually pens going and writing as we live. SubhanAllah, yes. These are things that we wouldn't have known without the Prophet telling us, okay? But between what we know and what the Prophet ﷺ tells us, there's so many levels, okay? Are there elements that we can understand and get to know in our life? Yes, there are things, okay? And these things, you can find elements of the Quran and Sunnah indicating them, telling you a little bit about them so that you can understand and start to think. But of course, the final details would be something that's left to you. It's not compulsory to believe in these things, but if Allah Ta'ala gives you the chance and the understanding to understand them, then mashallah, you're closer to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala because you're closer to reality. That's why, for example, we know in the Quran Allah Ta'ala talks about the life in the barzakh, yes? In the grave. Tells us that there's a life in the grave, barzakh. Barzakh is basically something in between two things. And he mentions that there's punishment in the grave in the Quran. That's clear in the Quran. But other than that, there's not much detail of the grave that's mentioned. And the Sunnah tells us some more detail of being questioned and stuff like that. Beyond that, subhanAllah, how does the ruh and the soul exist in the grave? What kind of life does the soul have? And are you connected more to your body or to your soul in the grave? And can your soul leave your grave and come around? These things are not mentioned in detail in the Quran and Sunnah, but elements of them are mentioned. We can put the dots together, and then if a person is granted knowledge, one of the awliya tell you something that fits with this and matches it, then you can basically take that as a piece of information. It's not compulsory for people to understand it, to believe it, but these are types of knowledge and understanding that Allah Ta'ala gives to those who He wants, that does not go against the Quran and Sunnah, but actually helps you understand the Quran and Sunnah in full context. Okay? And as we know, the kashf of the awliya, when awliya see things, isn't compulsory to understand and believe, and can even have a mistake in it. Kashf is similar to seeing a dream. A dream can be true or not, or it can have elements of truth or not, or the interpretation can be wrong as well. And so the awliya never consider kashf to be qat'i, that they don't say themselves, we are 100% sure about this thing that we saw. But they use that as a proof and evidence. Sometimes you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 proofs until you reach a level of yaqeen and clarity of this thing. And because of that, we can take these information that we get from the awliya as side evidences that bring us closer to reality. One day, these mysteries that are mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah might come together and make sense. Okay? And this is something that is really, a gift that Allah Ta'ala gives to certain people. It's not something that everyone will be the same at. And every wali has a different level of kashf and understanding, even, subhanAllah. So generally, he says, ثم أمام العالم المعقول معارف. There are levels of knowledge beyond this reality that we live that the Quran and Sunnah tells us about or gives us an idea about, and it's left to the people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam Ibn Ajiba, rahimahullah, he says, وَالْحَاصِلُ أن شموس العرفان لا تدرك بعقل ولا حدس ولا برهان. He says, the reality is that the sun of understanding, and the sun raises from the, after the night is finished, the sun appears. The sun of understanding, when it's clear, when understanding becomes clear to you, لا تدرك بعقل ولا حدس ولا برهان, cannot be uncovered with logic, nor with an eye, hadith, yes, nor with evidence and proof, just looking for proof for every single thing. There's only a limit to that. We should use our logic and our aql to understand and to believe in facts, in aqidah, in the basis of religion. If something doesn't fit in logic, someone gives you an idea or a reality or a piece of information, aqidah, that doesn't match logic, you reject it. Aqidah has to match the reality out there. And our brains are the only thing that we can use to judge that. But our brains can't take us to every single reality out there, yes? They can tell us what's true and not true and what's a possibility. Possibilities, al-imkan, is a huge field that is left. The aql, the brain tells you that maybe there's something that exists out there. Yes? Maybe these things are true or not. It's possible. But your brain won't get you there. It won't tell you what's beyond that. Okay? So these sciences, understandings can only come with what? Can only come through knowledge that Allah Ta'ala gives you through opening your heart and allowing you to see what others don't see. That's what it is. It's all about the heart opening up. About the heart being one step closer to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, more filth being removed from the heart. وإنما تدرك, he says, ببيع النفوس وبذل الأرواح. It's not that you get these things through having really good sight, being really smart, okay, or even, subhanallah, gathering evidence from here and there, but you can find it and understand it and see it when you sell yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes? وَبَذْلِ الْأَرْوَاحِ, and you give your soul to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's when you can find it. That's what gives you this knowledge. Yes? Surrendering to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَبِالْخُرُوجِ عَمَّا تَعْهَدُهُ النَّفْسِ وَتُحِيطُ بِهِ الْعَقُولِ, and by leaving what your nafs is used to and comfortable with. Leaving your comfort zone will get you this knowledge. Yeah? When you leave your comfort zone and you no longer seek just worshipping your body and its needs, then yes, Allah Ta'ala will open doors of understanding for you. That's the condition. فإذا صح منك هذا الخروج, so once you leave and you're truthful in leaving this reality of this world, okay, أدركت أنوار الملكوت متصلة ببحر الجبروت وصرت لا يحجبك عن الله تعالى أرض ولا سماء ولا عرش ولا كرسي ولا أفلاك ولا أملاك وصرت أنت قطب الوجود تديره بيدك كيف شئت خليفة الله في أرضه ونقطة دائرة كونه والله ذو فضل عظيم. He says, if that's the case and you exit this world correctly, then you'll see the anwar that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has hidden in that world that exists but it's not seen by people, malakut, yes? The kingdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which comes from the reality of al-jabarut, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowing His sifat upon things. And you'll be in a state that nothing can block you. The earth can't block you from understanding. The sky can't block you. There's no limits to you. You know, say the sky is your limit? No, the sky is not your limit. You have no limits. The sky is underneath you, subhanAllah. Yes? وَلَا عَرْشٌ وَلَا كُرْسِيٌّ, even the arsh won't block you. Because you're not trying to look at Allah Ta'ala with your eyes, are you? Yes? No. It's understanding. It's a spiritual closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So nothing can block it. The eyes have a limit, yes? Physical strength has a limit, but this doesn't have a limit, subhanAllah. وَلَا أَفْلَاكٌ وَلَا أَمْلَاكٌ, yes? Even the cosmos around you, none of them can block you, and not even the amlak, not even the angels of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will stop in your way. وَصِرْتَ أَنْتَ قُطْبُ الْوُجُودِ, and you'll be the pole, you'll be the essence of existence. You're going to be the peak of reality, nothing else. Because you're living beyond your time, beyond the reality of the people around you. Yes? And it says, existence is going to be in your hand. Like the whole dunya is going to mean nothing to you, subhanAllah. Dunya is nothing to you. You're the one who's actually in control. Even though you're not in control of dunya physically, but in reality, spiritually you're in control. Yes? Nothing can affect you. Even if they slash your wage, if they fire you from your job, if something, khalas, doesn't matter. You're living in a totally different reality. Yes? You're happy in your heart, and your heart's connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing can affect you. Khalifatullah fil ardh. This is the one that Allah Ta'ala calls the Khalifa of Allah Ta'ala on earth. What he said, he says that he sent Adam alayhi salam to be the Khalifa. Inni ja'ilun fil ardi Khalifa, someone who takes care of my land, basically. Who is that person? That's why I say Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam. Why did Allah send him down? It wasn't. We said many times that he didn't commit a sin. He didn't make a mistake. A sin meaning he didn't do something that's haram. Yes? He did something with a good intention, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as you know, the hadith mentions that he forgot. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, after forgiving him, he said, I'm going to send you down to earth. So it's not a punishment, Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam. Earth was never a punishment. Yes? But it was the beginning of khilafah, the beginning of learning and showing the reality of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the rest of creation. He's going to use you now from Sayyidina Adam until the end of time to teach everyone else and to be the ones who Allah ta'ala bestows all this anwar upon mankind. The journey started then. The journey started then, and the test started then, where everyone was living in this reality, and Allah ta'ala only chose certain people to be able to reach that level of connection with Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. نقطة دائرة كونه. It says, and basically that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give this to whoever He wishes. There's no limits to Allah ta'ala's gifts. No. And scholars in Tasawwuf, subhanAllah, there's different levels of understanding even from the Quran, they say. In the Quran, there's the clear tafsir, or the general meaning that everyone understands from the ayah. And that's correct. There's no hidden meaning. Okay, it's correct. But beyond that, from the ayat, you can take lessons that don't contradict these meanings, but add to them. This is known as al-tafsir al-ishari. The Sufis are very big on the tafsir al-ishari. Means that you get different, you try to get the message behind the ayah. You try to understand something else that's being told in the ayah behind it, yes? So Allah Ta'ala, for example, says, إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا, that when the earthquake happens to the ground. Physically, yes, there will be an earthquake that happens. That we believe that, yes? But why is Allah Ta'ala mentioning earthquake in the Quran? Is there any significance to the earthquake itself? There's something beyond that, yes? Shaking means that some boundaries are being crossed, means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing you that His qudra subhanahu wa ta'ala. So say, you know what? It's actually, yes, it's speaking about shaking of the earth, but He's trying to get you to understand the shaking of the nafs, that He is subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's shaking you. People are going to be shaking. You should be shaken now, because you're not going to live then. Most people reading the Quran will not read that moment, yes? But the lesson you can take is that Allah Ta'ala shakes things, so you should be shaken now from this, yes? You take an ishara from that. So this is just one example, a small example, a very simple example. There's so many other examples where you can get things from the Quran that really teach you what Allah Ta'ala meant by the Quran, and also you can get different information, piece of information that leads you or helps you understand the reality of other things through the Quran and through the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And that's why Sufi, when they look at the ayat and the hadith, they have a very deep understanding. If you read the tafsir of Al-Qushayri, his books in tafsir, it's one of the most beautiful tafsir. Why? Because it gives you, subhanAllah, you feel like he's reading the Quran and it's all lessons through the ayah. It's like really what Allah meant through the ayah. It's not just the ayah physically means this. Most tafsir will tell you the ayah means 1, 2, 3. The linguistic meaning is 1, 2, 3, that's it. And maybe some ahadith. But Imam Qushayri, he tries to tell you what Allah Ta'ala meant through the ayah. What lesson can you take from the ayah? And he's one of the Imam of Tasawwuf, of course. He's not Imam Qushayri, the one who wrote the Risala, but one of another Qushayri. Of course, there's many Imams that are known as Qushayri. So, subhanAllah, this is all, and to understand that, even to understand the isharat is all a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, opening from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it happens to people who have clear hearts, of course. He then says, وَعَلِمُوا أَنَّ لَهُمْ تَمْكِينًا يَرْقَى بِهِمْ مَرْقَ الْمُكَاشِفِينَ. Read English.
They have grasped that they have fixity which elevates them to unveiling.
Now, so as we know, Allah says in the Quran, وَنُمَكِّنَ لَهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ, yes, that some people He will give them fixity on earth, good people and bad people. In the outer reality of what people see, there's good and bad people have tamkin. But al-aqibatu lil-muttaqin, at the end of the day, Allah is always going to make it that certain people are the ones who are fixed. Those are the ones who inherit the beauty of everything, inherit the real ending, the end of the game. They're the ones who win. Okay, tamkeen in this dunya means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows you to enjoy the true taste of life, allows you subhanahu wa ta'ala to really understand what you're created for and do it, and He makes everything else in this earth serve you in one way or another, in one form or another. Yes? And because of that, subhanallah, they never give up what they have. The beauty that they've tasted and they've been experiencing is something so precious to them that they would never give it up. Once they were firm and they understood this reality and they accepted this from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they reach high levels. And one of those levels that a person can reach is the level of kashf, where Allah ta'ala unveils certain things for them that they used to not be able to see. And we spoke about kashf many times, so we won't repeat that inshallah. Then he says, ثُمَّ رَوْا أَنْ دُونَ ذَاكَ مَانِعُ كَدَفْتَرِ النِّيطَ عَلَيْهِ طَابِعُ.
They have seen, apart from this, that there is an obstacle, like a book upon which an imprint has been made.
No. Imam Ibn Ajibah, we'll read what he says here. Okay, he explains this land poetry very well, but before that, we'll just speak generally about what he said. There's something that stops most people from reaching this reality. There's something that stops most people from reaching any reality, from connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Most people are stuck in square one. Why? Okay, because it's difficult. It's not easy. It says كَدَفْتَرِ نِيطَ عَلَيْهِ طَابِعُ. Okay, they have the Sophia have understood also the reason most people are held back. Okay, what the obstacle is. Okay, and that obstacle is so difficult. It's like a book which upon an imprint has been made. What does that mean? He says الدفتر الكتاب وأراد به هنا الحرز والتميمة. He says that book here means some type of paper or it's a scribe or something that people basically is wrapped up. Okay, wanita means that something has been tied around it. So you have a piece of paper that's tied up like a graduation certificate. Yeah, it's got something precious in it. Then there's something tied up around it. Now, and then there's a stamp on top of that holding it together. Okay, he says when the people of tasawwuf إن القوم لما شعروا بالحقيقة كامنة في نفوسهم وكشفوا بها علموا أنهم إن تمكنوا من الوصول إليها والرسوخ فيها حصل لهم كشف الغطاء وارتفعت الحجب عن قلوبهم فكانوا على بينة من ربهم ثم رأوا أن مقام التمكين دونه موانع وقواطع تمنعهم من الوصول إلى ذلك المقام وهذه الموانع هي التي غطت القلوب وغلفتها وحجبت الأرواح عن الكشف عن أصلها فصار القلب والروح كحرز مكتوب لف عليه غشاء وطبع عليه طابع فلا يظهر ما في باطنه حتى يخرق ذلك الطابع والغشاء الذي غشي عليه وهذا الطابع الذي جعله الله تعالى بحكمته وعدله حجابا للقلوب عن أسرار الغيوب هو عالم الطبيعة وهي شهوات النفوس وعوائدها التي امتزجت معها عجنت بطينتها في أصل النشأة وهي التي ذكرها الله تعالى في قوله زين للناس حب الشهوات من النساء والبنين فاشتغلت الروح بتدبير هذا البدن لجهلها وصرفت همها لمأكله ومشربه وملبسه ومسكنه ومنكحه وما يتبع ذلك من الشواغل والشواغب فعيقت عن أصلها ومنعت من شهود أنوار ربها إلا من أسعده الله تعالى بولايته وسبقت له سابقة عنايته فلما علم القوم بهذه القواطع التي قطعتهم عن الوصول إلى ربهم ميزوا هذه القطاع والشباكات التي حبستهم في قيودها وهي علائق الدنيا وعوائقها وسلوا من هممهم العالية سيوفا وعزموا على قطع تلك العلائق ورفضوا تلك الشهوات فلما علقوا هممهم بالله تعالى وانقطعوا بالكلية إليه انقطعت تلك علائق وارتفعت تلك الحجب واحتزموا وشمروا للطعن في تلك العائق ونزلوا لمحاربة النفوس وردها إلى حضرة الملك القدوس حتى ألقت السلاح وأذعنت لطاعة الكريم الفتاح. He says that when the people of Tasawwuf understood this reality and they were shown things that they didn't see before, that increased them in their stability and they became firm upon the stance that they had. And because that, things were clear to them, they were ala bayyinah, they didn't have any more doubts anymore. And because of that, they saw the tamkeen that Allah gave them and they understood the things that hold most people from reaching that. And he says these things are based in the nafs and the ruh. Yourself has things inside it that block it from reaching Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're not foreign things. Okay? Although you're so pure from inside, but there's things around you that you can't break out of. He says, and this wrap that's around the book, okay, and the stamp that's upon that are the shahawat, are the temptations of this world, and the norms and realities that you're used to and you don't want to get out from in your life. I said it's been basically mixed with the dirt that you're created from. It's a part of you, subhanAllah, yes? It's hard to remove it, basically. And that's why Allah says, زُيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ, that He made beautiful to people all the physical temptations in the world. Okay? So most people, their ruh seeks taking care of this physical world and their bodies. Why? Because that's all they know. That's what they gravitate to immediately when they're created. So most of people's stress and focus and work is all about caring about what they eat, what they drink, about their sexual desires, about what they wear, where they live, and things like that. The whole reality, people work, the whole life they're working for what? To save up just to buy a house. That's it. Khalas, it's the most important thing. Day and night fights and problems and just to buy a house. When you buy a house, I'm going to achieve in life. Allahu Akbar. Yeah. Now they're happy. And then a few years, they pay the mortgage off, they pass away. Most people's reality is that. SubhanAllah. Yes. SubhanAllah. Or they work to get their kids a good life, and their kids have to work to get their parents a good life. And we live in this, SubhanAllah, this ongoing reality. No one has tasted life. Not the parent, not the kid. Not the grandkids either. SubhanAllah. Why? Because because we gravitate easily towards something, we made it our golden life. SubhanAllah. Yes? SubhanAllah. So these people understood how dangerous it was. They decided to take these things as their enemy. Said, no way, I'm not going to give up to these things. They might have houses, might not have houses. Might be rich, might not be rich. Allahu A'lam. But they don't care. Allah Ta'ala gives it to me, doesn't give it to me, who cares? Yes? I mean, I could prefer, instead of going out to expensive restaurants and just having fun, to sit and have a cup of water with the Salihin, to sit with them and just, connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'll do that. Whether I can afford that or not, I understand what's a priority for me in life, yes? So, it says, the people who Allah chose to understand this, they hate these things because they know these things are what distracts people from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they took a stance that, Ya Allah, these things are our enemy, we're going to destroy these things. So they took out their swords, he says. It's all spiritual, it's all metaphorical, of course. And they said, we're going to go to the battleground and we'll fight these things until we defeat them. Because we don't want anyone to be distracted from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ourselves or anyone else, yes? And they got so serious that they all went and they actually physically went to the battleground. They didn't stay at home. They took their swords out and they were there, waiting. Ya Allah, we're ready to fight, okay? When Allah Ta'ala saw that from them, all of the shahawat surrendered without them fighting them, subhanAllah. You prepare yourself, I'm going to fight, I'm going to do these things for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Before you even do anything, things will surrender to you, subhanahu wa ta'ala, yes? I mean, the effort they actually did is minimum to what they achieve. Yes? Now what do you do? A few years of ibadah, some people want to, mashallah, and Allah Ta'ala gives them so much. Yeah, it gives them levels of wilaya, understanding and connection. So easy, subhanAllah. Why? Because He saw them, they're sincere. The sidq in what they did, yes? And that's what Allah Ta'ala wants to see from you. It's not about the physical doing it, yes? About being ready. Not worrying about these things, subhanAllah, yes? Don't live with these things as a priority in your life. Live as Allah Ta'ala allows you. If you're rich, alhamdulillah. If you're not, alhamdulillah. Don't make it your priority in life, yeah? Whatever Allah Ta'ala gives you, you work with. You work with. And that's the reality they had reached. Okay. Subhanallah. That's why some of the awliya would say, انتهى سير الطالبين إلى الظفر بنفوسهم. That the people seeking Allah Ta'ala, the end reality they reached was that they owned themselves back. They got themselves back, subhanAllah. Guess, by the way, nothing happened to them. They didn't live a miserable life. Allah Ta'ala was generous to them, yes? But alhamdulillah, they got rid of the things that the awham and the false realities, the things that were scaring them from reaching Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At the end of the day, they all lived beautiful lives, alhamdulillah. We never heard that one of the awliya died and subhanAllah, just like, really in the street begging or something. We never heard any of them, subhanAllah, died, looked down upon death or something like that. No. Most of them had beautiful endings, beautiful lives. Yes, subhanAllah, yes. SubhanAllah. If they're not buried next to Sayyidina Rasulullah or Medina or somewhere beautiful, or people actually honor them after their death for years and years and years and years. SubhanAllah. Till today we go, wallahi, you miss visiting them even. You miss thinking about them. Sayyidina al-Badawi, we never met him, subhanAllah, but if you go, you miss visiting him. Why? Because these people are serious people. They're actually like genuine people. They're people you would, if you lived in a time, you would have loved them as well. Yes? So Allah Ta'ala doesn't take their love away from people's hands. So in reality, there's nothing to lose with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing to lose. Yes? There's only things to win. But not everyone sees this. If you see it, subhanAllah, you'll be less stressed in life and also you'll achieve so much more. Now, he then says, وَنَظَرُوا الْحِجَابَ فِي الْبَوَاطِنِ فَوَجَدُوهُ فِي النُّفُوسِ كَامٍ فَعَمِلُوا عَلَى جِهَادِ النَّفْسِ حَتَّى أَزَالُوا مَا بِهَا مِنْ لَبْسِ. He says, did we skip anything? He says they looked at, what's blocking them, from the inside. And they found that what's blocking them exists inside them. The sir that Allah put inside you also exists inside you. And what's blocking you is from inside you. So you're your best friend and enemy at the same time. Yes? What's going to get, because Allah is inside you, you don't have to take it from outside. And also what's blocking from Allah is from inside you as well. So it's just inner work that you have to do, and you're done. Okay? فَعَمِلُوا عَلَى جِهَادِ. That's why he said they fought against themselves. The evil elements of themselves, they fight against that. Jihad al-nafs. Why? Jihad al-nafs is so emphasized in Sharia. Why? Because you're fighting against these bad elements, and you're taking it as an enemy, and you're fixing yourself, subhanAllah. Yes? حَتَّى أَزَالُهُمْ. Until they remove the confusion. That, subhanAllah, the reality for them was all mixed up. Things weren't working perfectly, subhanAllah. Sometimes you're a bit this way, that way, mixed, nothing is clear. Once they stepped over the most difficult obstacles, by the way, you become more content in life, more happy in life, more relaxed in life. Life is more beautiful, subhanAllah, yes? So that's the reality that they reached, subhanAllah. Now, to do that, there's certain steps that they took. To do that, there's certain steps that they took. The author here is going to speak in the next chapter, from next class, inshallah ta'ala, about two of the main methodologies. In history of Tasawwuf, there's two main methodologies, and we're not saying there's only two, but there's two main methodologies that the scholars of Tasawwuf have mentioned. One is known as Tariqatul Ishraq, and the other one is Tariqatul Burhan. Basically, where do you start from? Is the focus of a murid and a shaykh going to be starting from working on yourself really hard from the inside, destroying, and then Anwar coming to you? Or having a true intention and leading the Anwar kind of lead you the way? It's a whole different discussion, inshallah ta'ala. These two ways are something that most shuyukh use, or they might use elements of both. But in the books of Tasawwuf, they're known as two groups or two methodologies that the people of Tasawwuf used to use. So we'll explain that inshallah ta'ala in the next class. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك. أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك ونتوب إليك.